100 years of preserving Detroit's history. This month marks a major milestone with the Detroit Historical Society as a group as they approach the centennial anniversary. Executive producer Impacting Communities Amir Makupson has been following this story for us, and she made a trip to DHS for a peek around the museum and also took a stroll through Old Detroit. Here's just a sneak peek at the 100 years of that Motor City area, starting in the streets of the iconic Detroit area.
The iconic streets of Old Detroit, original to this museum. So the Detroit Historical Museum was built in 1951. And kind of the key part of the museum since it was built is the streets of Old Detroit. And that's where we are now. The streets of Old Detroit is really interesting because first of all, it takes you literally through time. So we're standing in 1840. As we walk forward, we'll walk into 1870 and then we'll end up in the 1900s. One of the ways that you can tell the difference in the eras as you walk are the actual streets of Old Detroit. I'm standing on a street now that is made of cobblestones. These are cobblestones that would have been originally, they were actually taken from a street in Detroit and embedded in the street in 1951 when the building was built. The next section is a corduroy street made out of logs. Detroit was a lumber town, so we had lumber barons who worked here and lived here, and obviously the medium they were familiar with and they were comfortable with was wood, and so they made their streets out of timbers. Later on, when we get to the 1900s, you'll see the brick streets, and there still are some brick streets left in Detroit today. Michigan Avenue, which heads right from downtown all the way to Dearborn, there are sections of that street that are still made of the original bricks from 1900s. So this area, again, 1840s, you would see some of the buildings here are the kind of things that you would see in Detroit in the 1840s. All of the storefronts in the streets of Old Detroit are actual buildings. There is a furniture shop. Detroit was growing a lot during that period of time, and so Detroiters needed furniture for the new fancy houses that they were building. There's a blacksmith shop here. The blacksmith shop is important for this era because we were still using horses and buggies in the 1840s. And so obviously you needed the buggy wheels to get fixed. You needed the shoes for your horses, and your friendly local blacksmith would have been right on the streets, and he was the guy who would have made those things for your household use. And this is an original firehouse, so I'm standing in front of a door and you see the big arch. Well, that big arch is to fit through the big fire engine that is behind us. This fire engine would have been drawn by a horse, and so, or probably a whole bunch of them, because look how huge this is. This is one of our biggest artifacts in the Historical Museum, but also one of the most spectacular. Just to think about, in the 1870s, this is how our fire department would have taken care of the residents of the city of Detroit, making sure that their homes, their buildings, the commercial district like the one that we are in right now would have survived a fire. We know that whole cities burned down from fires, including the city of Detroit. Our motto in the city of Detroit is, "It will rise again from the ashes." So we're standing in our representation of a Sanders confectionery store. Sanders came to Detroit early on. It was really one of our first sweet stores. And pretty much everybody in Detroit really knows and loves some piece of Sanders sweets. It's part of all of our background. And so, of course, we had to have it in our iconic streets of Old Detroit. Sanders means a lot of things to Detroiters, but primarily it's our sweet shop. And it was, I think, one of the iconic brands that invented things in Detroit. You know, Detroit's really known for its hustle. Detroit is a place where things are invented, and kind of our favorite things as Detroiters become the favorite things throughout the country. Sanders was known for its hot fudge. The hot fudge cream puff that we all know and love was invented here. Sanders is known for bringing the ice cream soda to the city of Detroit. probably not the first ice cream soda in the country, but the first one here. And so, you know, again, one of those things that Detroiters know and love that really started right here. This is an authentic pharmacy of the streets of Old Detroit. This actually was a pharmacy, and so when we brought this building here into the streets, we preserved it in its original use. So you're seeing an original soda fountain, you see the original counter where the druggist would have actually created the drugs that they were distributing back in the 1890s, 1900s.
But there's a certain pop that started in a Detroit pharmacy.
There is a certain pop that is attributed to a pharmacist from exactly that era that I just mentioned, Verner's. Detroiters all over the country have used Verner's for its original purpose, which was to soothe your stomach. So a pharmacist in Detroit created Verner's, which is ginger-based. Ginger is known to help soothe stomach ailments, as a drinkable stomach solution. As time went on and it became more popular, what he found was that it was being consumed by people for all kinds of reasons, and Verner's became the soda pop that we all know and love today. We're standing right now in the entrance to Kresge Wilson 5 and Dime. Kresge Wilson was the very earliest iteration of the stores that would eventually become Kmart. And so when you think about an iconic brand that came to mean a lot to Detroiters, I mean, who didn't grow up with the Blue Light Special, right? And so this was the very earliest iteration of that brand. Mr. Kresge went into business with his brother-in-law. Eventually, his brother-in-law was out of the picture. Kresge continued on his own. The stores became SS Kresge and then Kmart. So we're entering in now America's Motor City. America's Motor City is our exhibition that really tells Detroit's automotive history. The body drop is a piece of equipment from the Clark Street Cadillac plant. It's a good example of they don't make them like they used to. Welcome to the Motor City Music Gallery in the Detroit Historical Museum. This gallery tells the story of Detroit's really rich and wonderful music history. We show costumes here. We have a fabulous soundtrack here. It's my favorite place to hang out on an afternoon. We've got significant musical instruments here. We've got a mixing board here. We tend to tell the important stories of Detroit's musicians. We're really excited that we're featuring Mary Wilson in this exhibit right now. And we've featured Aretha here. We featured Allie Willis here. So there's always room to find out something new about something you didn't already know about Detroit's music history in this gallery. We're in Boomtown. Boomtown is the Detroit Historical Society's official 100th anniversary exhibit. This exhibit tells the stories of 20 Detroiters from the 1920s. Some of them are people that you know, like Ocean Sweep, but many of them are people who really their stories have been kind of lost to time, lost to history, and our historians really dug in. Julia Brunel is one of those Detroiters who has an amazing story. Julia Brunel was a 15-year-old rum runner. Clara Clemens Gavrilovich in our Boomtown exhibit. Clara came to town with her husband, who was the conductor for the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. She was a fixture in Detroit during the time that they were here. And one of the little-known facts about Clara is that she was the daughter of Mark Twain. George Poy, who was a Chinese-American restaurateur, his family kind of became the backbone of Detroit's Chinatown. You really can get the history that you want.
So you saw a little bit of it right there, Legends Plaza. That whole long story was all leading up to that place in particular, because also as part of their 100-year celebration, they are going to induct 5 iconic Detroit legends into our version of the Hollywood Walk of Fame with handprints and names. So coming up next, we'll talk about who those legends are and how they feel about the city of Detroit.
I love that. That is so great that we're doing that and honoring these local legends, because they really have had such an impact on our area and reached such a milestone. So we should be honoring them.
We should. And tomorrow night, when they have their big event right down at the Detroit Historical Museum, it's all the last century of Detroit. So we're going to be drinking Faygo and Verner's, eating Saunders bumpy cake. There's probably going to be the Detroit deep dish pizza and everything that is Detroit. Coney dogs.
Yeah.
It's going to be like
just a celebration.
Everything.
And
yes.
They did a lot of work in digging up some of those artifacts and that history. I am very impressed by that.
Yeah, I was too, and it was incredible. The sad part of that was, though, there were a lot of very important people to the city of Detroit who they couldn't even find a photograph for, because, you know, back in those days, for whatever reason, either they didn't have it or they didn't take it, but they do at least have the artifacts and all of the history, and it's extremely cool to see, because we started on little cobblestone roads all the way up to where we are now.
And
it's
those
all in one
people
place.
have been able to see so much change through the years and generations. So I'm sure for them too, what an honor to be able to reflect back on those days of yesteryear.
Yes, exactly. Everyone who comes in there, you feel the nostalgia. You look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I remember Kmart. Like, where's Kmart
Right.
been? And all of that kind of, it did. Everything changed, but Detroit's still Detroit. I mean, Detroit, even back in the 1800s, as you saw in the museum, was a hustling town, a busy town, a bustling town, and that has not changed in a century.
Changed one bit, and like
No.
we said, we are honoring our own.
Yes, we are honoring our own with our own here in our own.